This meeting is now being recorded.
Okay, so this evening we're extremely lucky here at Let's Talk Mental Health. We have our own mental health warrior, Mr. Liam Kennedy, and at this stage I would like to pass over to Liam.
Okay, thanks, Aaron. Hello, everyone. A lot of you will probably know me, and a few of you who are possibly new to the group won't know me. So nice to meet you. Yes, I'd just like to speak today. This is the third time I've been on as a speaker, so Aaron owes me a match ball. I've got my hat-trick today.
Yeah, get that over to you,
yeah. So I'd like to, I never get tired about talking about my story, and it's not like I'm not in a big-headed way, in a way that I know it's the same story, but I tell it in a different way. Like there's so many different ways to tell my story, and I'll continue to do it like that. But the reason I do tell my story is because, I know I can help people. I know what we as mental health sufferers are going through. I know what you are going through. I understand the emotions, the dread, and only through people, actually being inspired by my story has actually convinced me that I am good at what I do. So it's the audience, and that's why I do it. That's why I speak. It's because you are my incentive. My fellow mental health warriors all of you are my incentive. Why I do what I do. Why I wake up in the morning. Why I write my poetry. Why I continue to be successful in life. No matter what's thrown at me, whatever test is thrown at me, I'll pass it. And it's all because of you, my fellow brothers and sisters around the world. So you act as my fuel, and I'm grateful for that. So yeah, so my name's Liam Kennedy, and I am 28 years of age, and I'm currently 30 months into my recovery, which is, when I think about it, like as each month goes by, I go, 29, 30. So next month obviously it'll be 31 months. But it doesn't sound like, I've said this so many times, it doesn't sound like, a long time. And it's not compared to, I've got the rest of my life ahead of me. But within them 30 months, can't tell you how many days it is, but within them 30 months, there's been so much graft and so much hard work that has gone into as Aaron stated before, I always emphasise, I talk about routine. There's so much that has gone into my structured routine, how I cope. This hasn't happened overnight. This has taken 30 months, and I continue to improve it. I continue to work on things. If something doesn't work, then okay, it doesn't work. I can just get rid of that. At least I know. At least I've tried it. So. Rambling a little bit here, but I'm 28 years of age. I'm a mental health sufferer. I suffer with severe depression, schizophrenia, and about 2 months ago, coming up to 2.5 months ago, I was diagnosed with PTSD. Not many people actually know this about me. Not that I've been afraid to tell people, because that's not me. I'm courageous, but. And I'll go into how that happened, how that come about. But I've had that going on the last couple of few months. But I'll go on. I'll talk about my story now. So before I got sick, before I actually got diagnosed with, which was depression at first, I was working in a sports college, and I was actually in this college as a student for 2 years. Prior to me actually getting a job there, and it was great. I had to work hard to actually, try and get this interview for this job, because I was a sports coach, and helping out, and I was coming in on my days off to actually not just to impress, me potential employers, but also, because I wanted to. I didn't have to come in. I could have still got the job without coming in, but I wanted to do it. I've always had this, this like naturistic tendency to help people. I just want to help people. I've always been like that. I've always defended people who have been exposed by the bullies as weak, and they're not weak. They're not weak. I can give the supposedly weak people strength and give them belief that they can, that they don't have to be afraid of, these bullies. So I ended up becoming a bully to bullies. Then I bullied bullies, and, that sort of stuck with me. I've always, if you're my friend, or, not even a good friend, someone who I've only just met, I'll, this is just me, like, but I'd die for you. That's how I've always been. Yeah, so I ended up, eventually I got the job at this college, and, it was just like a dream come true. I was like a football coach, but I was an instructor in sport, which meant like, I wasn't quite a lecturer yet, for like taking classes, but, I was going to work towards that. And I had a group of disabled adults, mixed disabilities, and they were a great group. And, I become quite close with them and regarded them as family. And, and I was also playing semi-professional football, and, I was earning a good wage with my job, and then also getting paid. I mean, getting paid to play football is just, to me, it's just unreal. I know that it happens, but I was getting like £110 a week just to kick a ball about, but I'd have played for nothing, but to get paid was just like, that was the bonus. So, like, you just think life is fantastic and great, and, oh yeah, this is perfect. I was engaged. I'd been with my girlfriend, my fiance for a year, and things were going just, like I said, it was perfection, or I thought it was. So then, like, my second year into my job, what my colleague ended up, he wasn't very good at his job, and he ended up getting finished. So then they never replaced him. So then I had a group of like 22, students, or, people who I was caring for, and I had that on my own then. So where me and my colleague had like shared the work, we actually, I had double the work then. So then this is when I didn't know at the time, I just thought I was tired. This is when the stress started to creep in. So, I just didn't understand what was going on. I just thought I was tired. I thought, why am I feeling tired? I'm a 19, a 20-year-old young fit man. What's going on? Why am I feeling this tired? Which then ended up, I just started feeling this emotion that I've never felt before. It was alien to me, where I thought everything was great. Now things were not good. I started to, not dislike work, but I started to like feel like, oh, I've got to get out of bed now to get to work, and I didn't understand. And I was actually having, the early stages of like depression then. So then things got really bad when one of the lads who was supported, he suffered with epilepsy, and he took it wasn't a kick to the head, but he took a kick from a ball to the head, and then he ended up having a fit. So then I was already like sort of stressed or possibly depressed at the time, so I'm like dealing with this lad, and I've become quite close with him. I always thought if he never suffered with epilepsy, he would have made it as a professional footballer. He was better than me. And I'm not saying I'm great, but I'm a good player, and he was a better footballer than me. And I just thought, why did he have to get this epilepsy? Why did that rob him of possibly being a professional footballer? And I used to enjoy his company. We'd chat about football all the time, and it was great. So he ended up obviously going home unwell, and then I was off, because that was a Friday, if I can remember, yeah, it was. And I ended up being off work, and we didn't work weekends unless it was a soccer camp, but it wasn't that particular weekend. And then on the Monday, just as I was getting ready to go to work, it was about 7:30 in the morning. I got a call, and the lad who had had the severe fit due to the impact the ball hit in his head. He had died over the weekend. He'd had a bath, and he'd had a fit in the bath and slipped under the water and drowned. So when I found that out, it was, I'd never sort of dealt with someone close to me dying. I'd been lucky in a sense, none of my family members had ever died, that I was old enough to remember. My granddad died when I was 2, but I can't remember that. So, in the years where I'm where I can understand things a lot more, I hadn't been, obviously, the day's gonna come sometime, but this hit me hard. And then this is when it started. To me, he was like my brother. He was like my younger brother. And someone who I admired, that he could still play football, even though there was the possibility of him having a fit. He was so courageous. And then once I found that news out, that just destroyed me. So I was off work for a good while. Ended up coming back after a few months. And it just wasn't the same. I wasn't the same man. I sort of, it was like as if a tyre has got a puncture and it's losing air rapidly and it's not strong anymore. It's becoming flat, and there's obviously problems, and that was how I, obviously now that I can reflect and analyse it, that's how I describe what I went from, this strong, unit to depleted, just basically a shadow of what I was. My football suffered, and I just couldn't concentrate when I was playing football, and I know I could have made it. I could have made it as a professional footballer. I could have, but I used to be bitter about it, and it wasn't meant to happen. Regardless of me being unlucky with getting ill or whatever, I don't see it like that anymore. It wasn't meant to be. So obviously I come back to work, and as it was going by, I was getting worse, and then obviously I was on medication, and I was trying to sort of cope. My relationship with my fiancée Lisa was strained so much, and I'm trying to figure out what is going on. And then obviously I ended up, I had to basically resign through ill health because I couldn't cope no more. And then just I thought that was bad, and then it got worse, so then I started I was off work then, and I went from this sort of perfect life to this, to this what is going on type sort of outlook, I just couldn't grasp it. The medication was making me drowsy, and just, basically everyone will understand who's been on medication, especially people who are listening now, you become zonked or zombified, you just feel so lethargic, and you do feel like a character off The Walking Dead. And, so then I've got people coming out and seeing me, and, the crisis team and stuff, and it just kept getting hit with blow after blow, and it was like a boxer who's just continuing to get smacked and smacked, but the referee's not sort of, he's allowing it to carry on, and I'm just taking more damage and more damage. And then, I was sectioned at one point, and, that was a low point. That was the low, well, it was up there in the top 2 of my lowest points ever, after being sectioned, seeing my girlfriend, my fiancée coming in every day to come and see me, and she was as broke as me. She was as broken as I was. Having to I didn't even want to see her, to be honest. And not in a horrible way, just in that I didn't want her to see me in, like that. So this went on and on. I ended up coming out of the facility I was in, and then something remarkable actually happened then in my life. The first bit of good luck that I'd had in quite some time. A fantastic organisation called Everton in the Community was suggested to me because of my footballing background. It was there's so many programs on Everton in the Community, and this particular one was called the Imagine Your Goals program. And the lads who are going through similar, if not worse, problems, but we're using football as a a therapeutic tool, and also like mixing socially again, because that had just been non-existent with me, like. So I was a bit reluctant at first, but then I couldn't help but take the offer because the football, and my love for football is I love it more than the poetry I do. Football is my best form of expression. Poetry is a very close second. But there's just nothing, to me. There's just nothing else like playing football. In a competitive nature, and it's fantastic. Like, so, I was on the program, and I wasn't going to every session because there's a session enough every day, 7 sessions over the week. So I was going to, like, it was quite sporadic how I was going. It was very patchy. I was going to one and then missing a week or so. And that was just more confidence. That was more like self-confidence, which was very low at the time. And then you see, the lads who were on the programme, and, were sort of, there was an element of trust there. We could talk about things, and we knew that no one was going to, divulge that information outside of the programme, if we didn't want them to. And there was right away, I sort of felt like I was part of something special. It was like a unity, a brotherhood. We were a united front, But things then, after a bit, I stopped coming to the sessions after I've been involved with the programme. It's coming up to 6 years. A couple of months just shy of 6 years I've been part of the programme, but like I said, I'm 30 months into my recovery. But let's go back now, 30 months ago, or to say 32 months ago, which is about 3 years possibly into me being at Everton in the Community. Stopped coming to sessions, stopped talking to all the lads, secluded myself in my bedroom, and basically just like started, not fighting anymore. And then I was saying it before about Broad Oak being in my top 2. It's second of my worst ever, like, moment in my life. The one that, that basically defined me. I had to get through this horrible ordeal. Otherwise, it was either going to make or break me. But it was a 10-week breakdown. And it was basically, I was so bad. So it was a 10-week breakdown. I was hearing voices at the time, and they were very severe. It was like 9 different, a mixture of noises and voices. So like there was a car alarm, a screaming woman. She was just screaming, but it was non-stop. There was like a barking dog, and then there was just all kinds of other voices. There was like background noise as if you're in like a restaurant, and you can just you can't pick out a particular conversation, but you can just hear like a collective noise of 20 or 30 people speaking. That's what I heard. I also heard 2 foreign men having an argument, which I thought they were having an argument. I couldn't understand the language, but because of that, I assumed it was foreign. And then just voices like telling me to give up and I'm useless and I'm a piece of shit and stuff like that. So then to make matters worse, obviously I'm super depressed now. This is the worst I've ever been, and I'm basically just like shutting down. I'm sort of, my body is just basically shutting down. And then a week into this breakdown, this the worst experience of my life, I start
my doctors thought it was a good idea for some reason to take me off my medication, which was my mirtazapine and my duloxetine, and also olanzapine, which was for the voices. So they took me off all three of my medication and never gave me, anything to like sort of, like a replacement medication. So not am I only going through, severely depressed, just the worst depressive state I've ever been in my life. I'm hearing all these different noises and voices, basically going off my head, going a little bit insane. But now I'm having to like sort of battle through withdrawal symptoms now. And I'd heard about withdrawal symptoms. I'd gone maybe 2 or 3 days without medication, and that's just due to me, like running out of meds, like 3 days before a repeat prescription was, meant to be, I was meant to go and get it. Well, that's 3 days, and I sort of struggled for them 3 days without meds. But I went 9 weeks without medication. And every time the doctors were coming out, I'm basically like just pleading, like begging them and crying and pleading for them to give me some medication because I couldn't sleep. And that's another thing on top of all them circumstances. I was averaging 2 hours of broken sleep a night. And when I say broken sleep, couple of minutes here, couple of minutes there, maybe 15 minutes. That's what I used to hope for. That's what I hoped for. I hope I just get a good straight 15 minutes here. That seemed good for me because I was only getting a minute or two. So I had all this going on. And, that 10 weeks felt like 10 years. Every day, I'd shut myself off from everyone. My mum was coming upstairs and to speak to me and that, but I was basically being horrible. My mum and dad, I was being horrible to them. And, that wasn't me, that was my illness, that was dictating things. My illness was like the puppeteer and I was the puppet. That was controlling me. And I'd stopped like I said, I stopped speaking to the lads from football. I kept getting messages, because if someone doesn't come to a session for a certain amount of time, duration of time, people start wondering and getting concerned, why is, I'll just use my name for example, why is it Liam at the session? What's going on? Is he okay? So everyone's concerned, and I wasn't very nice. I wasn't getting back to people, and that's obviously not helping the situation. But what I was going through, I'm not trying to make excuses of, I possibly should have got back in touch, but I just, like I said, it wasn't me. Maybe I had 2% control of what was going on, but my illness had the other 98. So I had a big hand in how things were going to play out. So like I said, I was just basically just like a vegetating in my bed. I was just wasting away, and I was just the sleep deprivation was causing like horrendous hallucinations, and really just it was just a weird. It was weird. It was so surreal what was going on. So it gets to like week 9. Obviously I wasn't labeling it week 9 then because I don't know how long this is going to last. No matter what the outcome is. So this is when things started like getting really bad. At the end of week 9, like I started like hallucinating, thinking that I was actually getting out of my bed and going down the stairs. And then the next minute I'm still in my bed, so it's like I started imagining that I was getting out of my bed and I couldn't grasp what was going on, didn't understand. So that's when that was happening, so I was getting a little bit worried now. So then like week 10, which is like, this was the make or break point now. Especially the last day. Because I had a decision to make. And it was the last day of the breakdown, that's what I call it, but I also call it under another term, which is the glorious first day of the rest of my life. And I had a decision to make, and it was basically, you've got 2 choices now. Whoever I perceived was speaking to me, maybe it was the strong me, the real Liam left, speaking to myself, speaking to the weak me, and was saying, look, you've got 2 choices now, Liam. You've got 2 options. Now you can go with option A, and that is the easy one, and that's basically just do what you're doing, stay in your bed, get nice and comfortable on the bed, fluff your pillows and, you know, get curled up on the bed and basically give up. That's there, that's on a plate for you. You haven't got to do nothing. You just basically just gotta do what you're doing now, and that's it. You haven't got to work hard for it. Or you can do option B. Now option B was the complete opposite. Whereas that was just option A was on a plate. Option B to me was Mount Everest. You got to climb Mount Everest without training. So, you know, it was a crucial moment, this pivotal moment in not just my life, but my future. And I suddenly, like, I left it. You know, I had to make this decision, but I'd made it increasingly hard for myself as each day was going by, because as each day was going by during this breakdown, I was becoming more weak, you know, and which was like, I was just being sapped of everything that was good about me, every good quality, all my energy, all my, you know, my positivity, everything was just rapidly draining. But maybe I go with this decision. So I do, and you know, there was maybe 99.9% of me was already was sort of what wasn't there. You know, that was like part of my illness. But the 0.01 was still with me. That was the real Liam. And I like to think that he stayed with me up until them very critical days towards the back end of the breakdown. So what I decided to do was get out of my bed. And I got out of my bed for the first time, and don't get me wrong, I was in my bedroom during the breakdown. I was getting out of bed now and again to go to, you know, obviously to go to the toilet. But this wasn't getting out of bed to go to the toilet. This was actually to get out of bed to actually say, you know what? Fuck you, illness. I'm fighting back. And that was the start of my recovery. I didn't know it at the time. I didn't know, especially after a week or maybe 2 weeks. I didn't know that I had actually entered my recovery, because obviously, you know, it was still early days, but I just didn't know. I just thought I'd got over, you know, a massive like obstacle, you know, a mountain. But what I did start noticing was consistency. Like, I started developing a routine, started doing things that I wasn't doing. Where I was out, where I had bad habits, where I was like putting everything off, I started doing things that were good. You know, I started like keeping up with my hygiene again, because that's what we do when we're in such a bad way. We just forget about everything. We might look after ourselves hygienically. That just goes out the window when we're in such a terrible dark place. That's the last thing on your mind. Don't even think about it. In fact. So I started doing stuff like that, and that's a big achievement. Even to just get out of your bed is a monstrous achievement. Brushing my teeth, getting showers, even getting baths, you know, like, and then after about 3 to 4 weeks, I started lifting weights again. And at first, I was forcing myself to lift weights, but that's still a good thing, because I still, even though I don't particularly want to do it, it's good that you can find the strength to actually lift them weights, you know, or, you know, just do some exercise. But then, after, like I said, after like four weeks, and then it was 5 weeks, it wasn't an effort to lift weights. I actually wanted to do it. There was, like, it gone from, I don't want to, but I'm going to have to. And then it went from that to, I really want to lift weights. I couldn't wait to lift. When I'd done a weight session, I couldn't wait for my next one. And then things just started rapidly, you know, improving. And I kept, like, you know, and then obviously I went back into Everton community then, and basically rebuild my life again. You know, not just like not just socially, but like, you know, in like in life, you know, like actually wanting to go and get a job again. Obviously that was not on my mind at first. I just wanted to get back into a really good place and just try and improve and become a strong man again. But things just started to really, you know, dramatically improve, just as they dramatically, you know, sort of went low. You know, all my standards were high, and then they went low when I went through that breakdown, and you know when I was ill. But then I started turning it round and just changed. Everything just changed, and I liked that feeling, and the fact that you know I was grateful to myself that I managed to carry on. That I managed to carry on that last day, because I don't know where I'd be if I didn't. So weeks and then months were going by, and I started to achieve things. You know, I was winning trophies with my brothers from Everton, the community. You know, I'm winning off every tournament we were going to. You know, we're a very good team, very strong set of lads, mentally and physically, and we're always favourites to win trophies. You know, we've got a reputation, and you know, so we've got to live up to the height. And you know, we were basically winning every tournament we were going in. We were winning trophy after trophy, you know. And then I started to win a couple of golden boots, and then that became like an obsession of mine. And I just, you know, obviously that wasn't the first thing on my mind. I wanted that, whoever I was playing for, I wanted my team to win. But I'm a centre forward. I wanted to score goals. So this was great. This was great for me in terms of I was interacting again. You know, I hadn't had this in my life. You know, I don't think I'd ever had that in my life, to be honest. I've never had such a close set of friends who were regarded as brothers. I've never had that, and the banter and everything. And I, you know, internally, you know, I was grown. You know, it was like so many seeds were being planted, and everything in my life was benefiting. You know, Lisa, my fiance, was seeing a much better me, a much improved me. My mum and dad were benefiting from that. So I was living with them at the time. My sisters were seeing, you know, a strong older brother who they could rely on, you know, who they felt proud of. And obviously, you know, I started getting more involved with Everton, the community. I become a volunteer, which, you know, was a big step, because it was a platform to go back into work then, which, you know, to me was a big step. I've been there. I had a job, sort of if the diff, and then, you know, I felt I was confident enough to take that step on, and it was the right choice. And then there was so many things happening with Everton, the community. We were getting invited to awards nights because our programme was very successful. And then getting involved with the newsletter, which we've got an Everton, the community newsletter, where I got involved by writing some of my creative writing, you know, my motivational passages, and then also the poetry. That's how that started. And everyone has a little input, all the other lads, you know, and it's great. You feel part of something, because you're part of something very special. And, you know, I started getting that feeling back again that my life has suddenly got a purpose again, whereas it was sort of, you know, I was falling. You know, when I was in such a bad way, I was literally falling down a massive, you know, black hole, you know, and I was just continuing to fall. But now I was climbing, you know, I was climbing until I could see, even though it was only a little speck of light, it's still a little bit of light. So I'm going the right way. You know, eventually, you know, the light it'll just keep getting brighter and brighter if I continue to work hard. So, you know, obviously, I had, my routine was, I believe that, well, I know I became a master of my routine. You know, I perfected it. And when I felt it was getting a little bit too easy for me, I'd step it up and add something else. And by step it up, an example of that was you know, if I was doing weights or, you know, running or football, you know, I'd do extra sessions, you know, whether it be within Everton, the community, like if I get to an extra session a week, or if I was doing it myself, if I just go to the field and just have a kickabout on my own and just work on my own skills and fitness. And, you know, it was the right thing. It was the right thing to do, because I was testing myself, I was pushing myself, and I was benefiting from my own ambition, and then obviously the writing became a massive part of my routine. I couldn't go a day without writing something. I wanted to write something. I needed to. I didn't know what I wanted to write at first. I really didn't. And I just started writing like a title down. And then with the title came my story, what I'm explaining now, but like on paper. And then, obviously writing just about like my experiences, the breakdown, and the courageous move I made to actually decide to fight back. And then the poetry came along, and to this day, if someone was to, actually ask me how do you do it, I don't know. I think I speak from the heart, and it comes. It's like I go into a trance when I'm writing a poem. It's like it's just this magic spell inside of me. This gift. It must be a gift. It must be. And I just go with it. The poem, the actual poem itself is not the hardest thing. I think the title. It takes me longer to think of a title than to actually write the poem. And I'm so precise with each word that I write. And, I like to put it in a certain way. And I think the way I do put it, it's my emotions on a page. It's my heart and soul. And that's why a lot of people can relate and can take a lot from each piece that I write. But like I stated earlier in this talk I'm giving, you, my fellow, mental health warriors, my brothers and sisters around the world, you're my inspiration. We're all together. We're all as one, and we're all on the battlefield every day fighting not just our own individual war, but we're fighting in each other's war, and we're fighting each day. And I know that if my words can help someone, then that's great, and that makes me want to write more. And if I can turn someone's shitty day into a better, that's fantastic. It makes me want to cry, through happiness, Yeah, so like I was saying, my routine was improving. So then I was getting help from one of the coaches from Everton in the community in terms of like wanting to get back into work, and I did put in for a few jobs within Everton, but I didn't. Obviously, I just wasn't the outstanding candidate to get the jobs and that. But I just felt it was great experience to actually be in that position to actually go for a job. It was exciting, even though it was. I didn't see it as a fail. I seen it as an experience and a nice feeling. Even though the news was, you haven't been successful this time. But to me, that was a success because I'm in this position now where I'm actually looking for work, and that to me is progress. That's progress. So eventually I did. I ended up, getting a job, and I've been in this job now for, it's coming up to 6 months. It's 6 months this month on the 25th. And I'm a support worker, and I'm working with, our fellow mental health sufferers. And it really is the house that I'm based in, I've transformed the house. I've put all my positive quotes up, and I created a gym. We had like an old summer house in the back, and it was just basically gathering dust, and I had old paintings in. So I seen an opportunity to turn that into a makeshift gym. It wasn't a gym as in like when you go to an official gym, but if you throw a weight bench in there, some dietary plans on the wall, some fitness routines, some regimes, and a couple of quotes and a couple of dumbbells on the floor, that's a gym. That's a gym to me. As long as you're sweating and pushing yourself to the absolute maximum, that's a gym. If you old school, doesn't have to be like all the machines, and that's great. That's like a safe haven, and it's not just a gym. That's somewhere where you can go and express yourself. That's somewhere where you can go and push yourself and distract yourself from them horrible thoughts in your mind, or the horrible emotions you're going through. You push yourself to the limit, and you can escape that dread. And then by the time you finish your session, whether it be running, weightlifting, or playing football, or whatever form of physical activity that you've done, you're going to be too tired to acknowledge what's going on in your mind, and you'll have a better sleep. You'll feel tired for a reason. You'll feel tired because you've pushed yourself, and you won't feel tired because your illness is making you feel tired, because, lethargic. You're going to actually earn that feeling of, you know what, I'm fucking exhausted, but I've earned that. And then when you get that shower or that bath, that's going to be the best bath or shower you're going to ever have in your life. You've earned that. You've earned the right to actually feel tired. And that's like basically kicking your illness in the bollocks and saying, you know what, well that didn't work, did it? I'm strong. You can't take advantage of me no more. But like I was saying at the start of my chat, my speech, sorry, I developed PTSD. Well, I've had it for basically 8 months now, but I was only diagnosed with it 2.5 months ago. And the reason why, I'm not going to go into, and this is just because the details are so sickening and horrendous that I don't want people to be upset. But I'll give you the gist of it. I was still with this company I'm with now, and on my first day of work, again, I got a job, and I was delighted. And on my first day, I was thrown into like the deep end. There was no there was no shadowing process. I didn't know the place of work where I was actually going to do my duties, so I didn't know. I was basically in the dark. I was blind. I went in with a blindfold on, and I actually witnessed just something horrendous. During the 7 hours, there was things being said and jokes that were being made, and it was about mental health sufferers. I won't go again, like I said, I won't go into detail, because it's sickening, and I don't want people to become upset because of what I've said. What I've experienced. I don't want people to feel the same emotion. But obviously, like the next day that I was meant to be in, where I stuck it out. I stuck the 7.5 hour shift out. And I should have walked during that. I really should have. But me being me, I wanted to do my job and look after the people I was meant to be caring for. But the next day I rang up and basically told them to shut the job up their arse, because that I was going to go to the papers and expose them. And things, there was a big process, and there was like an investigation, and the thing is, it's still going on now, the investigation, but they relocated me to another place, and I ended up working at a house, the house where I am now, which is predominantly mental health based. A couple of the lads have got learning disabilities as well, but it's mental health, and it's a dream job, it really is. But during since that horrible experience happened, started having these like nightmares, recurring dreams, and just flashbacks and stuff, and I didn't know what was going on. I actually seen a clinician, like a clinical specialist, and within my company that they'd sorted out with the welfare team, and he diagnosed me with PTSD. And it was like, I got two emotions from that. It was like, oh, fuck's sake. But then it was relief that I knew what the fuck was going on in my head. Why, what's going on? Why am I so... And he explained to me what it was. And I've heard of PTSD. We've got lads who have gone through PTSD, who were going through PTSD due to being in the forces, And you just think that PTSD is to do with that, but it can happen to anyone. You don't have to be in the army to have seen. You can see something or experience something really traumatizing. In civilian life, that can have like quite a terrible effect on you. But things got sorted, and in terms of I got diagnosed with PTSD and talking therapies and stuff, but in terms of the investigation, it's still going on, and
it seems to be like taking the piss, really, and I don't know whether these individuals are still working at the company or whatever, but, you know, the way I seen it, when I was told PTSD, I was like, for fuck's sake, but then I thought, no, that's not going to set me off track, that's not going to, you know, thingy, my progress is not going to crumble now. That's just to me, that's just another obstacle. That's just another opponent that I'm going to demolish. PTSD. That, you know, okay, yeah, we'll bring it on, you know. And I've started doing a lot of meditating because I'm educating myself on post-traumatic stress disorder. I'm also suffering with hypervigilance, which is like my body is constantly fatigued. And but again, it's just another obstacle that I'm gonna overcome, that I'm gonna beat. And you know, I'm doing a lot better of the last month. You know, the last month or so, where I've like sort of coming to terms and getting, you know, improving my own routine around, you know, the PTSD. You know, and I'm doing a lot of meditating, and oh wow, it's helping. It really is. And I've continued to write my poems at a very phenomenal rate. You know, I actually set myself a target of 100 poems. Like, not in my lifetime. No, obviously I'll write a lot more than that, but I give myself like a 3-year period. And then the other day, like, I wrote me 66th poem last night while I was in work. I wrote it when I was like in bed. And then I thought to myself, I only need 34 more poems to hit that 100 target. And I thought to myself, I'm gonna write 100 poems before the end of the year. That's like me outlook now on life. I just think, you know what, I can do anything, and that's the thing. If you can prove to yourself, and you just have the belief that you can get through certain, you know, blips or certain circumstances in life, if you just have that belief and that mindset that you can do it, you just won't believe. Well, you know, there is no such thing as limitations. There isn't. There is no limitations. You're limitless in terms of if you believe you can do something, you can do it. You can do whatever you want to do, and then don't stop there. Try and beat it again. Just try and become a better you, and that's all I do. That's all I try and do, and I've continued to not just like, you know, win at life, but I've continued to try and improve, you know, the mental state of my fellow mental health sufferers, you know, with me writing. And, you know, I haven't done a video. I haven't made a video for a while. That's just due to, you know, I could have done it, but the poetry has just basically took over, and I've been working, but I suggested to Aaron that I was going to do, if people direct questions at me, I'll make a video. You know, this is something that, like, another project that I want to work on, where, like, people direct questions to me, ask me questions, and I will answer them on the video, and write some, you know, and read some poetry out. And Aaron thought it was a good idea.
Yeah. So we'll be announcing a bit more about that very shortly. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's like basically, I mean, that's the first time I've spoke about the PTSD in terms of like something like this. But it hasn't set me back. It hasn't put me off track. I'm still here. I'm still fighting. I'm still strong, and I'm going to continue to be like that. And at the moment, you know, I'm back at that. You know, life is, I'm not going to say perfect, because I think it can always improve. But at the moment, I mean, I'm just so grateful for the position I'm in. I'm grateful for the people who have stuck by me. I'm grateful for the opportunities that have come my way since I've entered my recovery. Don't get me wrong, I've worked hard for these opportunities, but I'm just grateful for the fact that I've been given certain opportunities and I've took them. You know, and I feel blessed. And I stick to this. I've said this in the past. I'm not sure if people remember, but I truly believe that I was meant to get through what I have been through.
I was meant to get through that breakdown. A test was thrown at me. I was meant to pass it. I was meant to become this man that I am today, and I was meant to help people. I was meant to be a spokesperson for mental health, and I truly, I don't just believe it. I know it's true. I can feel it. I can feel it every day that I wake up. There's a purpose. Everyone's got a purpose, and this is mine, and I've found it. And if I wouldn't have got through what I got through, I wouldn't be the man I am today. So I'm grateful for that test, because I would not have become the man I am today. You know, my life would have played a different, would have been played out differently. But, you know, I was dealt a really terrible hand, but I made the most of it. And I've worked, and you know, I like where I am, but I don't want to stay here. I want to keep improving. I want to keep fighting. I want to keep writing poetry. I want to keep helping people, because that is what I get up in the morning for. And before I go to bed, I'm grateful for the fact that I've come out on top, but I know it starts again tomorrow. And then I prepare then for tomorrow. And then when I wake up, the first thing that I think of is I'm grateful that I am in this position. And then the second thing is today is an opportunity to help people. And that's all I need for my day. I take my medication. I do a weight session, a little circuit. I have something to eat. I kiss my fiance goodbye, and I go to work. And you know, I love what I do. And obviously, I've got a few things in the pipeline that are hopefully gonna come off in terms of where I can expand my audience and get involved within a recovery group where I can give motivational speeches and, you know, basically promote recovery, and that it is possible. And that to me is just like, that is, you know, that is a dream. That is my dream. That if I can get someone out of their beds, if I can actually give them a reason to get out of the beds and fight back, then, you know, I am one truly happy man then. So, that's my story. And, you know, obviously I'm grateful for obviously being involved with the Let's Talk Mental Health group, because, you know, I've been able to practice my motivational talking, and I've got to know yourself and the other members of the group who I regard as warriors. You know, these are all warriors, and I'm so grateful that I'm part of such a fantastic group that offers so much help. So I thank everyone for that.
We thank you for being involved with our group, Liam. Just a couple of quick things.
Yeah.
Just, I know what I didn't want to put across you because I was engrossed in listening. But it's when you talk about, you know, we refer and you refer yourself as the mental health warrior, and it's I just out of interest, I just got the dictionary definition of warrior to see what it would say, and a person engaged or experienced in warfare, a soldier, which is what you are and what we are.
Yeah, we're at war each day.
Yeah, and version 2, a person who shows or has shown great vigor, courage, or aggressiveness. So it's the same. Really, it comes back to the same thing. It's constantly fighting, but some other things that, like I noted, that, you know, when you said that you wouldn't, without the mental distress that you'd been through, you wouldn't be the person you are today. And I completely can relate to that, because I mean, a lot of people would come to me and just think I'm the most peculiar fucker in the world, but you know, I don't really care, because I have survival techniques. And I know, and they work for me, so I don't really care, because it's none of my business what other people think about me.
No, if it works for you as an individual, then keep doing what you're doing. You know, don't worry about what the outside, you know, of your sort of network, think they don't matter. They
No.
they're the people who don't understand, like what we're going through, or so they've basically got no right to comment.
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, I like to use it to wind people up sometimes, because sometimes I sit in the office and I hate the corporate world and all that. So I'll just shout when everything goes real quiet and all you hear is tap 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 on the keyboard. I'll just shout bollocks across the whole the reactions.
See what they do. You need to film that.
But it is who I am, and that's I don't really care what anyone thinks, because that's me. A couple of just quick other things. The footballer, you talk about a footballer, you're absolutely amazing footballer. You're very modest about that. You are an unbelievable footballer. I've seen him play, and he's superb. The other quick things I just wanted to say was, just about the being zombified, and I think everyone who suffers mental health can relate to that. It's detachment. You're completely detached from the world around you. You're just completely out of it, and it can happen as well.
Especially with the the early days of taking your meds, because you still, your body's like it's fight or flight type thing. It doesn't really know. It's just going with instinct. And then you're just having to function, but it seems like 1,000 times as hard, because all your all your reactions are slower, and you're doing everything. And you're like like a sloth. Have you seen them sloths in like the jungle, like where they're so slow, and that's what we become. We just become like so slow, as if we're on slow motion. And it's just a horrible, cloudy. Like as if there's like a cloud in front of us and we can't really like see, or it's just a horrible feeling.
I know that feeling. But also what I did notice was the way you were taking off your medication was completely incorrect. It was completely wrong. The doctors completely made an arse of that one. Because I think did you say it was mirtazapine that you were?
Mirtazapine, duloxetine and olanzapine.
But mirtazapine on its own is a nightmare. Mirtazapine can make you a zombie in itself, but coming off it, it's designed to make it so it's very difficult to come off. Nightmare. So coming off all three, I mean, you're talking about those little brain zaps that I call them. I know a lot of people get them when you're withdrawn from medication. Like a little shock through the brain. It's fucking horrible. So I was
vomiting every day. Vomiting. I thought at one point I seriously thought that I was terminally ill. I thought I had cancer. That's how bad I was. It was just a fucking so horrendous.
Yeah, and it is. It absolutely is. And I would always advise, and when I speak to people, is that if you're coming down off medication, then ask a doctor for a short-term medication to make it easier. Or else do what I did, and it is really, really gradually. I mean, I got to the stage where I was on whatever, I can't remember the bloody name, but it was a horrible medication anyway. And every day I opened up the capsule, took one of the little balls out, and did that every day until 38 days elapsed, and I was then free of it without side effects. Now, no doctor told me that. I worked that one out myself. But the other thing is meditation, and meditation, speaking of meditation, I advise people to download the Headspace app. Headspace will teach you how to meditate for those who don't know. But also there's advanced parts of Headspace. Now, Headspace have actually teamed up with us here at Let's Talk Mental Health. And we're going to see some more of that coming up in the next few weeks, but it's going to tie into our Christmas raffle, and there's going to be a lot more there. I'm just looking here. I need to stop the recording because we'll only record for an hour, and it's now 59 minutes 36 seconds. So if you just bear with me a second.